Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply, and this video is to bring you a closer look at the National Guard products number 9945. This is a steel stop extender for a 45-minute rated fire door, fire frame, or for a fire rated opening. And this is a 36-inch length. So this is nothing other than a piece of steel that has gone through, whether they dimple these holes in the flat and then put it in a press brake. I doubt that they roll form this. Probably a press brake. Shear some steel, press brake, dimple it, whatever. It's a piece of channel is what it is, obviously made of steel. This is, I'm going to give you the dimensional properties. They say that it's 16 gauge, so it should be about 60 thousandths thick. 0.064. Its overall width, about 1 3/8 inches. Its overall height, .388. 0.388. Okay, so what this is this is a piece of steel that is going to be used to extend the projection of the stop on your frame. You have a steel frame. Okay, and you need to increase your projection, just like that. Okay, it's going to sit on top of the stop and is going to give you a greater distance from the face of the stop, which is called the soffit, to where the edge of the door is. And this is used to help mitigate excessive gaps on fire-rated doors. Depending on the type of door that it is, wood or steel, there is a prescribed maximum gap allowable. A wood door is going to have 1/8 of an inch plus 0. Cannot exceed 1/8 of an inch at all. A hollow metal door is going to be 1/8 of an inch plus or minus 1/16. But a wood door is going to be 1/8 of an inch. Cannot be any greater than that. This client ordered a 3-foot length. This client also ordered the other parts necessary to solve the total problem, and I'll get to that in a moment. That tells me that the problem is at the head, the top of the opening. There are no 7-foot or 6/8 or 8/0 pieces ordered, just at the head. Tells me that the gap between the top of the door and the underside of the header obviously exceeds the 1/8 of an inch permissible. You're also going to get self-drilling screws with the cap. Steel extended information down below. Steel stop extender. Gray primer finish. This is a 36-inch length. Let's test and see what it actually measures. And you're certainly going to need to cut this down if you have a 3-foot door. Okay, measures 36 inch on the nose. Probably going to need to get that closer to about 34 3/4 would be my guess. If you're going obviously between the stops. I wouldn't see any trouble with you indicating the net size that you'll ultimately need this to be. Why cut it in the field? The factory's shearing it from steel anyway. Feel free to indicate your net size in the comment field if you're going to have need for a custom length. There's, what would be a 36-inch channel would be a door, assuming 5/8 stops, is going to be a 3-foot 1 1/4 door. Those don't normally exist naturally. So indicate the net size. Measure between your stops. Decide how you'd like to have that, and we'll forward that information to the manufacturer. Gray primer finish. The width, 1 7/16 inches. Height, 3/8, 16 gauge. Furnished with number 10 by 1 inch Tech sheet metal screws. Used as a component for gap solution for excessive fire door and frame clearances. 45-minute rated for gaps 1/8 of an inch and up to 5/16. And available in 3-foot, 4-foot, 7-foot, and 8-foot lengths. You get past 1/8 of an inch and up to 5/16. This system may solve that problem. It is mandated in in NFPA 80, the code governing fire safety, that currently, of the more than 24 occupancy types, 4 of them are mandated in code to have annual fire door inspections, and even egress door inspections. I'm not sure if all 4 require egress door inspections. It might only be 1 or 2 of them. It's code. Pardon me. It's a standard. It's not code. It's a standard. NFPA 80 is a standard. If your local area, the building department, adopts that standard into their code, it becomes part of the code. So obviously where this is going, it's unclear to me where this is going. It may just simply be a commercial building. They have an issue that obviously gets outside of what's permissible. And either they are mitigating it on their own, or, and what's most likely, is that it's come up in an audit. Fire door assembly inspectors, fire door and egress assembly inspectors like myself can be hired to go out and to hospital calls, or really, any of those occupancies. Any occupancy can self audit and then mitigate. But generally, it comes up on a report that the opening has been found deficient. So the inspector has identified that. Whoever the inspector is, could be the authority having jurisdiction, the fire marshal. It could be, like I said it earlier, internal inspection, and you realize that it's going to fail a test, an audit if there is one, or that there's going to be one, so you're self-mitigating these problems prior to the inspection. And when we really get out in the lots of doors fail. Lots of doors would fail under the duress of scrutiny of a fire door or egress door assembly inspection, for a variety of reasons. Frames move, doors get warped, damaged, broken, cracked. Usage, worn hardware will allow margins to exceed what is permissible. Doors and frames and their hardware are maintenance issues, are maintenance products, just like anything else in life, whether it be oil in a car or grease and ball bearings on a lawnmower. It's maintenance, and that's just really all it is. This steel stop extender is part of a 3-piece system to mitigate the issue. National Guard has obviously taken this 3-piece system to a testing laboratory and has been found to mitigate the problem. Up to 45 minutes. If you have a 60-minute or a 90-minute door, this is not going to solve that problem. It's obviously only been tested up to 45 minutes or found to only work up to 45 minutes before the assembly was found to be deficient. UL certified gap solution for 45-minute fire door with excessive clearances between door and frame over 1/8 of an inch, up to 5/16, requires the installation of all the components down below. Okay. This client did not order all of the components. They may already have some of the components. What they've ordered from us is the extender. Then they've ordered the edge intumescent seal with the PVC cover, along with the self-adhesive TPE seal. Now, let's talk about it. Let's look at it. Okay, so now we've got a couple of links here, cut sheet and product catalog. Let's look at the cut sheet first. So here is where they give an overview of exactly what the system is comprised of. So you've got your 9945 here, and you see exactly how it's to be installed. Okay. 16 gauge gray primer, and while this video does not cover its sister components that are mandated to be installed at the same time, this client did purchase the 5075 self-adhesive triple fin along with this 9400, which is an intumescent seal here with this PVC covering, and it is a gray PVC covering that is shaped exactly like this, that is self-adhesive here and here. So what's going to happen is this. You have an excessive gap up to 5/16. The intumescent, when it hits a certain temperature in the mid or low 200 degree range, is going to substantially expand. It will absolutely expand and fill this entire area, sealing that off. The temperature getting into the mid 200 degrees is going to happen very quickly in a fire test. Very quickly. So that will expand within the first few moments of a fire test. This is obviously a requirement, having an additional piece of steel brought out here. The 5075 probably, that's going to melt. That's going to be gone relatively quick, and I don't think is going to really serve the passing of the test whatsoever. But that is certainly going to give you contact between the frame and the door to give you a seal. But I don't know that I wouldn't be surprised if that wasn't mandatory to make the door pass the test. Obviously, buying 3-foot pieces, the client is again finding a problem at the header. Now, the reason that the client did not purchase these strike shims, because your latch throw would be compromised, is this is being used at the head of an opening. There is no function of a strike whatsoever. So if you had a 7 or an 8-foot length or whatever size door you have, 6'8", etc., 7'4", 7'6", 7'2", very common, you're going to need these strike shims because it will serve to build your strike and pad it out in the direction of the door so that the projection of the latch bolt sticking out of the edge of the door will make an adequate amount of mechanical engagement into the strike. If you stopped and looked at the label on your door, it will say min latch throw or minimum latch throw. It likely says 1/2 inch. It can say 3/4 inch as well, and others. So padding out the strike, this would be for a 4 7/8 strike, obviously. This would be for a deadbolt strike. Well, forgive me, it would not be for a deadbolt strike. It would be for a 2 3/4 T strike is what it would be for. Padding those out is what's going to allow you to maintain that required engagement of the amount of projection from the latch bolt into the strike in the opening. Okay. This is what the entire system looks like. Now, let's take a look at the product catalog, and that will allow us to review an overview of gap solutions that National Guard has done an excellent job in taking a leading position by providing these solutions. Because what happens in this application where you have an excessive gap, the answer is to replace the door. Simply replace the door. However, if the local authority, if the authority having jurisdiction will permit you to install this, I would suggest that you print this off or email this, realistically, to the authority having jurisdiction and ask for a review and an approval. And if the inspector permits this, then you would proceed. But as you go through the rest of the catalog, you will see that there are different solutions for different types of problems. Let's proceed through the balance of the product catalog at this time. Now, as we continue on and look through the product catalog, you're going to see other items that will very likely be very useful to you. 20-minute solutions here. Applications in terms of stainless steel hinges, which gets outside of what we're already talking about. More 45-minute solutions with door bottoms. Okay, this sort of item here is going to allow you to solve the problem because of that intumescent that's filled in down here. Okay. Same solution with a 20-minute solution. That exhausts the product catalog that we have for National Guard on their gap solutions. Now, I don't spend a lot of time conducting fire assembly audits for clients in the field, but I have certainly spoken to those who do it exclusively. And regarding inspectors, they will generally be very open to solutions so long as they feel that the problem will be completely solved and that there's no sort of potential for disaster moving forward. Because what happens is if you have a deficiency, so you will submit the paperwork to the inspector, the authority having jurisdiction, and ask for a review and an approval. That person will need to fully review that because they're basically going to be saying, yes, I approve this, or no, I don't. It's very possible that you may be requested to provide additional information, and we can assist you with that sort of situation. Sometimes it's just simply not really practical to replace a door. If you had a door that had an excessive gap on the head or the sides, while it may not be ideal to implement a piece solution like this, it may be the most practical. Obviously for cost, okay, it'll be substantially less expensive. But I recently quoted a client a very unusual fire-rated wood door that was done in a building about 15 years ago in Chicago. Vertical grain bamboo veneer. So when the building was built, they needed 400 of them. So the cost per door, while it was exceptionally expensive because of this uncommon vertical grain bamboo, they needed one door. And the cost of one door was thousands of dollars because of how unusual that veneer was. Setup charges, availability, a 12-week lead time, etc. Now that application wasn't deficient for a fire door audit inspection. It happened, there was a fire, and the fire department came in with their universal key, broke the door down, and that needed to be replaced. But imagine if there was some sort of a deficiency with that opening, and you've got a door that was going to cost $3,000, or you could implement a solution for a couple of $100 plus your labor. So it'd be a great reason why you'd look into these National Guard solutions. There are times when there's no option other than to replace the door, because that's the bottom line. But what will keep fire door assemblies running healthily is maintaining the hardware. Always be inspecting that top hinge, and all of your hinges, in fact, but that top hinge takes 70% of the weight of the door, and that will be where you're going to notice the wear and tear first. In a hospital sort of application, a grade 1 hinge is rated for 1 million cycles. Well, you can easily hit 4 million cycles in just, a couple, 3 years on a hinge. So it goes without saying that maintenance and annual inspections is the key to proper fire door health and operation. While there are, of course, disasters that occur with fires, without proper code in place, they would be commonplace, and they just aren't commonplace as a result of the way that the building code, the standards, and how the code adopts those standards create safe environments for all of us. Finally, there's a link below this video to the manufacturer's page where you can pull up not only all of the National Guard products that we sell, but also a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to the full product catalog. Any questions on the National Guard products? This is their part number 9945, 36-inch steel stop extender for fire door and frame clearance mitigation up to 45-minute, or any other National Guard product. Please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you.